eTime is a web application that allows the user to log in using a URL with a username and password. The user can easily log in and out. Configurations can be made to require the user to sign in again after a certain amount of time has passed. Passwords can easily be changed by users with the appropriate access. Users can also easily be added through the administration section as well as deleted. At this time, each user is assigned a role like administrator or provider. Based on their role, information the user has access to see can be restricted. This can also be built and modified to restrict access of information by group if needed. Reporting information, which we'll see a little later in this demonstration, is created in SSRS, and Report Manager can be used to assign user rights for each user and report. eTime was created in 3 months as a prototype for the VA to push and pull information from the 3 VA test site instances that you see on the screen. Site and facility names are currently being pulled from Vista. This can be configured to be entered manually or pull from a different EMR source. A site can be used to represent an area, each with a grouping of facilities and clinics or freestanding surgery centers beneath it. Selecting a site shows information only regarding that site. In the current setup, Vista is driving the user access for each site. The selected site does not change when a user navigates away from the home screen. Using a patient from the Georgia site, I will demonstrate how to create an appointment request for an available time within a provider's block. First, I search and select a patient. The information for the patient is pulled from the source EMR and includes the patient name, home phone, cell phone, date of birth, social security number, gender, insurance information, and any special comments or additional information including primary care provider name. The patient appointment screen defaults to display all scheduled appointments from this date onward. The status and date can be changed to show all appointments regardless of the status based on a from date to present. In addition, appointments which have been checked in, closed, canceled can also be viewed. The from date can also be modified. All appointment history for a patient can be viewed by selecting View Appointment History. Here you can choose a begin and end date to view information and activities for the appointment. This information can also be summarized and shown in reports. Selecting View Appointment Requests displays all existing appointment requests, the date of request, and reason the request was made for the patient selected. Select Add Appointment from one of these requests to create an appointment. Information entered into the original appointment is shown at the top of the screen. This allows the user to see the original requested information, which can be re-entered or modified to then create the appointment. Here I have chosen the additional information to go ahead and make my appointment request into an appointment. Now I'm going to search for slots. If a time slot displays, the time is marked as available and allows the appointment to be booked for the selected resources. Once an appointment is made from the request is automatically removed. With this workflow, the only wait time for processing is how long it took the user to create the appointment from the appointment request. The appointments display under the existing appointments are the appointments that this patient has that are pending. The appointment times are the available time slots for the provider based on the date selected. If the patient already has an appointment at the time that is selected, an error message will display stating that the patient already has an appointment at this date and time. Choose another slot. Notes can also be entered. Confirming and booking secures the appointment for the slot for the patient and the provider. Returning back to the View Patient Appointment screen then displays this appointment at the top of the screen. The provider for each appointment is shown on the patient appointment page. The provider for any appointment can be changed if another provider is available. Select Change Provider to see if another provider is available for the time slot selected. If no provider is available, the appointment can be rescheduled for another time by selecting Reschedule Appointment. Here you can see that Lori Petrie is available for that appointment time. I select Change Provider, and then I get a message that this provider has been replaced for this specific appointment. If no provider had been available, I could have rescheduled the appointment as well. Appointments can also be canceled from this screen too. Appointments can be scheduled or requested more than a year in advance if the scheduling policy for the resource is set to more than 1 year in advance. Here I'm going to go ahead and create an appointment from a year from today. On a Friday. I select my facility, and once I do so, the clinic, provider, room, equipment, and appointment types populate based on the scheduling policy for that facility. I select the clinic, my provider, I choose my room, and I choose my appointment type, which can be customized based on your need. This is also set within the scheduling policy. The available days for the provider display, as well as existing appointments that the patient has currently scheduled that are upcoming. I select my appointment type, and then I confirm and book. Back on the patient appointment page, my appointment, scheduled more than a year from now, will display at the very bottom. If a provider is associated with multiple practices, the appropriate clinic and facility can be chosen and viewed. The schedule for an entire practice as well as a single clinician can be viewed using the provider roster. Here I have selected an appointment and selected the provider roster. It displays the appointment on the calendar. I can also view information for the previous week, this week, or any date that I select. I can also view it by that specific provider, in a facility or all facilities, in general surgery or all clinics. From the provider roster, I can also select View Patient List with my provider, facility, and clinic selected. This will show me all scheduled appointments that are upcoming for this provider. Appointments can also be viewed using the clinic schedule. Click on Clinic Schedule from Appointments to sort by facility, clinic, or resource such as provider, room, or equipment to view open and booked time slots based on dates, and the provider scheduling slots based on the scheduling policy we will see a little later. You can also click on the calendar to select a date from the calendar. Once a patient shows up for an appointment, it's time to check the patient in. Appointments which have not had a status recorded display. From the patient check-in screen, the patient can be marked as checked in, patient no-show, or the provider can be changed. I select checked in, I confirm, And once checked in, additional options to mark the patient as left without being seen, appointment kept, or change provider display. I select appointment kept and confirm. This information gets recorded into the appointment history, and reports can also be run to summarize the selected information in the appointment check-in screen. In addition, an appointment checkout queue saying that the post-appointment queue item was added is also shown in red above. Patients who have been placed on a waiting list due to an appointment cancellation or transfer request display on the waiting list page. Here, the amount of days the patient has been waiting for an appointment and the appointment priority are shown. Users can schedule an appointment for the patient directly on the screen. Once an appointment is created, the appointment request is automatically removed from the waiting list. Here, I'm going forward and scheduling the appointment. The appointment request information displays above the appointment. The available slots display. And my appointment has been booked. Going back to the waiting list, I see that this request has been now removed. Appointment requests do not need to be manually made. If an appointment is canceled, an appointment request is automatically generated. If an appointment is set for a provider, but the provider later becomes unavailable because a block was made, an appointment request will automatically generate for that patient and cancel the current appointment. If a patient walks in without an appointment and requests to see a clinician, a user can enter the patient as a patient walk-in. This ensures a pre-appointment letter will not be generated for this patient. The default preferred time is going to be today's date. Available time slots for this provider display. I select my time slot. I am not showing that this appointment needs to be linked to any other appointments. I confirm and book. Letters can be configured for each clinic through the Communication Template section. Currently, a communication queue is set up to trigger pre- and post-appointment based on appointment cancellation, a transfer, or when a patient is placed on a waiting list because an appointment request was created. To change the content of the mailing for the clinic, the user would select the clinic and communication template they wish to choose and extract the template to modify. Communications can be sent by mail, email, or a text message. Since templates can be configured by each clinic, they can be more personalized to the patient population and can also be triggered to be sent for different types of notifications. Communications can be sent differently from providers and patients. For example, a patient can be set to receive a letter when an appointment is scheduled, while the provider could be set to receive an email or text alert. The HealthyTime application can effectively control user rights as well. For example, not all users should be able to change a communication template for a clinic. The administration menu allows users with the appropriate user rights to access and view this menu and select Users, the Users section, Users and Roles, Actions, and Role Actions. From the administration menu, select Roles. The Roles section allows a user with the appropriate user rights to view all roles and delete them. The Action section displays all actions set within the application. The Role Action section allows a user with the appropriate user rights to view and modify the pages a user role has access to. Group appointments can be made when multiple patients can be seen at one time utilizing one provider or room. For example, a recovery training class could be held in a larger room which can accommodate 10 patients and have one educator. Or, for example, a physical therapy swim class can be held at the indoor heated swimming pool at the hospital with one trainer and 20 patients. In order to set up a group appointment, the resource capacity in the scheduling policy must be set to more than one. On the group appointment page, you can view a calendar by facility, clinic, and resource. Here, I'm going to go ahead and select to add patients. It shows that I have 10 slots remaining. With the Georgia VA Regional Medical Center Internal Medicine Recovery Educator in the Recovery Training Room. And this is an office visit. It shows me all the patients that are allocated to this facility. I can select some patients and then go ahead and add these patients to the group. From here, I can also click on the appointment time, select all patients, or just select a few now and add more later. Group appointments can also easily be canceled for all patients at once or can be canceled individually. eTime has the ability to schedule and manage telehealth appointments. I select telehealth, search for a patient, select the patient, verify the information is being accurate, and then I'm taken to the telehealth page. Now I can go ahead and add a telehealth appointment. These are appointments for a patient and a resource when each are in a different site and crossing a time zone. For example, a patient located in Alabama and a provider in California who wish to have a consult with one another. The provider and patient can be booked and the appointment time is adjusted automatically based on the time zone for the provider and the patient. You would create the appointment as normal, search for slots, and indicate the patient's location. Time slots can be configured for each resource. This drives the available resources which display when a user creates an appointment. Provider, room, and equipment availability for each day can be different, and time blocks can be placed on any of these resources if there's any planned unavailability like vacation for a provider or, for example, while the equipment is on order. By navigating to the scheduling policies list, I chose the site, facility, clinic, and the clinic resource list. These are the resources for the Georgia VA Outpatient Clinic Primary Care, and I chose the Primary Care Evaluation Room. Then I can go ahead and view the scheduling policies list. This shows that there is a scheduling policy Monday through Friday, and on Monday there is a scheduling policy for the priority of 2, which supersedes priority 1. I can also add another scheduling policy for Tuesday. I can choose when I want the scheduling policy to end far into the future. A priority 3 would then supersede a priority of 2 and 1. Since I only have a priority of 1 already added, I'm going to add a priority 2. And I'm going to set the appointment slots for 60-minute intervals, beginning at 8 a.m. in the morning, with only a capacity of 1, and continuing until 1600 hours. This will add 8 slots. Going back and returning to the schedule, I can see that this has been reserved. I can also add a block. To do this, I selected the resources, I select Add Block, and I enter in the required information. I can say that this room is unavailable for a specific time. Or I could go back to Resources, for example, and select a provider. Selecting Block List. And this is an example of a block already made. which starts on June 10th and ends on October 16th. This is for a provider that was waiting to come on board who hasn't been currently seeing patients yet. I can remove this block, and I can add a new block. I can even set this far in the future. This block that I'm making is for Christmas holiday, beginning on the 18th of December, continuing through the 31st. If I wanted to, I could also make this recurring. If any appointments have been scheduled with a provider during that time, they would automatically be canceled and an appointment request would be generated to remind the user to reschedule. Procedures can be created also with appointment types of ICD-9 and CPT codes tagged to them, and selected each time the appointment is made. Doing so would allow reports to be run on ICD-9, CPT codes, procedures scheduled, booked, canceled, and requested. To show this, I'm going to view appointment types for the resource. This is a list of appointment types that can be assigned to each resource. I can also add appointment types. These categories were imported from the source EMR. However, they can be manually entered. The DSS stop codes could also be ICD-9 or CPT codes and labeled differently. This is also set within the scheduling policy. Patients can view their scheduled appointments from home and can install any CalDev client of their choosing. For this example, I am using Thunderbird. Using the patient Hugh Benson, I can view his appointments that I've already scheduled for him. I can view by day, week, multi-week, or even just overall by month, as shown above. I can click on the appointment and view the information in detail. Currently, I do have several patients showing on the screen, but the patient will only be able to view their scheduled appointments. The clinician would send the patients a URL which allows him or her to access their appointment securely, reducing the need to call. eTime also contains the ability to run reports. Here's a sampling of reports that were created allowing users to generate based on the parameters that they choose. Reports can be saved in a multitude of formats including Excel, PDF, and Word. One example I'll show you today is the Capacity Workload and Utilization Report. This will show the utilization for each resource. These reports allow the user to have control over what information they wish to view and supply them the option to choose the parameters. I can go as far back as I choose by using the calendar function, or I could even enter in the date manually. I have the ability to select more than one site, more than one facility, and more than one clinic. After I choose the site, the information for the facilities and clinics that are under that site automatically pre-populate into these fields, but it does allow me to check or uncheck which ones I want to include in the report. These reports were developed in SSRS, which allows us to do additional functionality in terms of drill down. Once my report is run, I can see the report parameters at the top, as well as a detailed list, which shows in this report a list of all the patients and their appointments, as well as some identifying information. These arrows allow me to also sort on each of these columns. Below the table of appointments, based on the time parameters that I've chosen and also the site, facility, and clinic, is an average activity type by clinic summary, as well as an activity type count, and that information in a pie chart. There is also provider availability status by hour, and caseload utilization based on the provider scheduling policy and how much they're being utilized. Further down in the report, this is actually done for every single resource, including room and equipment. We do have many other reports too, but I hope you've enjoyed this short demonstration. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.